Hello and welcome to the Talking Crit live stream. I am one of your hosts, Eric Tenkar. With me is Bad Mike.
Hello.
And with us is none other than, the best hair in the OSR.
Sure.
Even Father's saying, listen, we've known Ben Barsh,
whatever you want, man.
since he was a wee little kid. And as such, we feel like we are the obnoxious uncles that will always remember him as the wee little Pacesetter kid.
He'll never get respect from us, sadly, because
we're I respect.
I cute little cherub. Just grab his little cheek and go, "Oh, look at that little cheek."
I respect Ben greatly. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're going to needle him a little bit because it's family. You know.
Yeah.
I do the same to my kids. So sorry, Ben. You're in good company, but
I'm mentally prepared to take that to the day that the hobby rolls.
Well. He's like, I'm with boomers tonight. Okay,
yeah,
boomers.
That's what I was going to tell him. My post. I was going to be like, chatting with boomers, but I thought I'd leave it out.
This is your big okay boomer night tonight.
Yeah,
you can okay boomer us all night long.
I've already had a couple in the pre-show, so that's good.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that being born in 1967, I technically missed the boomer age, but
technicalities. I see.
I'm 63, but I don't feel like a boomer. I think the tail end boomers. I think I'm a Generation X guy, so I'm also gonna disavow the boomer label.
Come on, Mike actually has a smartphone, so you know he's up there. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not a.
I
do. I have a smartphone. What can I say? Yeah, I'm on StreamYard. I mean, come on, boomers don't know how to do that. They have no clue what StreamYard is.
Time out. That's the reason why we use StreamYard, because I'll be honest with you, younger me used to build PCs for myself and install Windows and do all that fun stuff and upgrade. And 53-year-old me wants nothing to do with any of that shit. I don't want to do tech support for the rest of my family and the extended family and my neighbors. So I am just a Mac guy these days. And as such, tech support goes down to, just install the app. All right, we'll have to reset your password. I can do that and not be stressed.
Ben, is that the background here? Is this your room at home? Or is this a cell they put you? Because this looks frightening. There's nothing on the walls. It looks like
it's huge. It's huge.
You guys are roasting me already. Dang. Well, there's Stitch from Lilo and Stitch right there.
Yeah, way in the back of your cell.
He's a special edition one. So I just moved back to Orlando, Florida.
Nice.
My college is here, so I'm graduating at the end of the year. About 7 more months at this point. Which, thank God, I'm ready to be done. But so I just moved back, I moved back to Michigan during quarantine and then, was able to move back. But I haven't put anything up on the walls yet because it's a rental and I don't want to have to patch anything. So I'm going to try command strips. So, but there is I don't know if I can there's a nice little recording setup over there. I got my bookcases.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't know. This is really difficult. There we go. There's the Dungeons and Dragons stuff. All on the bottoms of the bookshelves.
And you got that light.
More in the closet. So, and I got the ring light. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm professional.
Yes, you is. I've got a ring light, but I don't use it because
I was hopefully I look okay for the camera because I left my small one at home. That one is not going to fit in front. There's a wall right in front of me here, so I can't put that big ring light, anywhere. So hopefully the hair looks good. Because that's all I got going.
Oh man, it's looking hot. It looks awesome.
Hot. Wow.
It looks great. I used to have, Eric and I both used to have pretty good hair, but yeah, those days are far behind us now.
We're
living vicariously. We're living vicariously through you, Ben.
I make sure to think about that, and every single NPC I have drawn up for Pacesetter books is they have to have luscious and gorgeous hair.
There you go.
Yeah.
You might be working yourself in a corner there. You may want to branch out a little bit.
I don't think so. I think the last one, the gnome had flowing green hair, so I thought that was kind of cool. Oh, that was kind of cool. So for those that know, this is Ben Barsh. We had his dad Bill on about a couple months ago. It's been a few months. Yeah.
It's probably been
Yeah, maybe it's been longer than that. And Ben is already a veteran. How old are you, Ben?
22. I don't know why I had to think about that.
22.
I'm 22.
He's already a veteran of the Kickstarter industry. He's had quite a few. He's had a few Kickstarters, all successfully fulfilled. Unlike people like Ken Whitman, he actually gets stuff out in your hands.
Yeah, get into it.
We first met him as he was a guest at North Texas. That's where we first met him because he was helping his dad out. And I first met Ben. He played in a game of my B1 the first night he was at the con, and he told me that he'd never played D&D before, and I couldn't believe it because I said, "Your dad writes it." He goes, "Oh yeah, dad's man," and I don't know, whatever. Anyway,
he did not say that.
He said something. He was like, "I don't know, man. I'm too cool for D&D, dude." So, he goes, "Get out of the way, Boomer!" And he flashed some gang signs.
And that was before Boomer was even a big thing to call somebody. By the way, your father's watching.
Yes, so I'm gonna watch what I say this whole 2 hours.
See, this is gonna cut down the spontaneity with Bill watching. This is gonna suck.
I think it's gonna increase it if anything.
Ben
I gotta prove myself.
Ben was gonna throw him under the bus. I was gonna get Ben to absolutely throw his dad under the bus. That stinks now. But no, so we met Ben and there, and Ben is I was impressed because he won the chariot racing championship 2 years in a row Ben, I'm on your side with this. You were unfairly singled out for your
Targeted.
I'm
still not over it.
Your third one. You were unfairly targeted, and everybody in the thing and the entire race teamed up against you for the sole purpose of preventing you from winning. And that was absolutely unfair. I will agree with you on that. But you won two. You won two, which is pretty darn good. And he's just a pleasant, nice guy to have around, and he's well indoctrinated in the ways of the OSR. And you're probably more, this isn't something you necessarily grew up reading or writing, right? I mean, it's just something you kind of got into it later.
Yes and no. I was always around it. It's just the thing that growing up with, I've started to sort of analyze this a little bit, and I know this might be a deeper answer to the question than you would like, but a lot of my cousins are sort of coming to age now. They're 13, 14, 15, 16. So they're all kind of going through that transition period that I went through. And it's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly when I got super interested in Dungeons and Dragons in general. Mm-hmm. But I was always just addicted to fantasy and fantasy exploration, fantasy RPGs. And I grew up in an age where video games were so relevant and prevalent in society that I played 4 sports growing up. I played football, baseball, basketball, and track and field a little bit, not as much, but so I was busy. And then when I would get home after a long day of everything, all I wanted to do was play World of Warcraft. I'm not going to lie. That was my number one game for forever and still is. I still play it all the time. My chair is actually World of Warcraft. I'll stand up and give the Alliance viewers, if anyone
there you go.
Alliance.
Yeah. Nice.
There we go. So I was always just super into fantasy RPGs in general. And then when, we had Pacesetter products in the basement, and just over time, I just got more intrigued in what was going on with my dad's side business. So it started simple with just helping ship out packages and that kind of stuff. Child abuse, labor laws were definitely ignored in the Pacesetter household.
Mm-hmm. That's why pioneer families had lots of kids, man.
I will say this, not to boost up my dad too much because his head's gonna get too big, but he always paid me and my sister really well, whether that was money or taking us out to do things.
That's called a tax write-off, man.
Yeah, okay, yeah, dude. All right. No, but I just my first convention, I believe, was Gen Con. I'm 99% sure it's Gen Con. I might be remembering this wrong, but I remember literally the minute we walked into Gen Con, we went right to the auction hall because that's obviously the best place in Gen Con.
Oh yeah, it is.
And literally within a minute of being there, someone came up to my dad and asked for an autograph. And I was like, I shit you not. And I was like, wow, that's just really cool. So
it was a process server, right?
It was a setup, I think.
Yeah, you've received these papers. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we grew up playing Dungeon and Fantasy Forest. So I always played TSR products, whether I knew it at the time or not. But yeah, I just always was interested in it. And then when I played for the first time and I ran a campaign for my friends, I played solo adventures. I just got addicted. So here we are.
Great. And so, what I mean, you do a lot of 5e too, right? I mean, 5e's. I mean, you're kind of the basically the poster boy for 5e. That hit exactly when you're in your time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's throw some dice. So you're a big 5e guy too, right?
I like it a lot. Yeah, I think it's a fun game. I like how, I mean, compared to like old school, obviously it's not quite simple, but if you compare it to a lot of other like new age systems, it is super simple and really easy to pick up. You can read through the player's handbook in a couple hours or an hour or whatever and understand what's going on. So I just really started enjoying it in college, actually. So in high school, I started my first game with my friends. I was running first edition. And then my buddy, who was a year younger than me in high school, he was a senior in high school. We were freshmen in college. He was like, hey, I want to try 5e for you guys. And I'm not like, I make fun of people for being boomers. I am a child boomer 100% because I was like, I'm not playing 5th edition. You can't pay me to play that sellout game. I'm playing the old schools, what I was born and bred in. Yeah, we played it the next day, and I liked it a lot. So ever since then, you know, I've really, really enjoyed it. But I always tell everyone, I just like anything that I'm like rolling dice and having fun with people doing. That's my game. That's what I'll play. But I know people like game, like you have to make a book for a game system. So obviously
so you watched your father do some. I mean, he Pacesetter Games is kind of one of the early OSR publishers, and they started doing some. I mean, he mostly just offered stuff, but then all of a sudden he jumped on this thing Kickstarter, and he started doing Kickstarters. So I mean, what gave you the idea? Like, okay, I think I can do a Kickstarter. I mean that's a lot of hubris to like say, you know, because you were under 21 when you did your first Kickstarter, right?
When I launched it, I just turned 20. Like I was like a month into being in the 20s. So yeah, I don't know. I just always, I knew I could do it. That's the thing. Like I knew that like, if I had discipline, which I like had learned my whole life from my parents and my grandparents and literally my entire family. And then going to a school that was focused on discipline in high school, like a all boys Catholic high school that was really ran a tight ship. I knew I'd be able to do it. Like this was something that was not, people kind of make it sometimes a bigger deal than it actually is. At the end of the day, it's a schedule. Like you write the book, you get the art and maps done, you get it edited, you get it laid out, and you send it out. Of course, it's not quite that simple, but it truly can be if you just stay disciplined at something. So I don't know. I just had, at that point I was in the hobby for a couple of years, and I'd read so many books and I played 5e so much, and I'd watched Kickstarters. Like I'd watched like Frog God run successful Kickstarters. It was mainly Frog God where I took a lot of notes and I was like studying how that they were like setting up the Kickstarter, setting up the pledge levels, doing their updates. Like I studied it and then did it. There's not like a really like grand like secret to running a Kickstarter. It's just sort of like going back to the roots of like school, like studying the experts do it the right way and then kind of reciprocating that, finding your own lane as you do it.
It's kind of sad that, I mean, nowadays part of the measure of Kickstarter is just the fact that you finished it and got the stuff out, because there's so many people that, just never even get that. I mean, some of the biggest names in our hobby have unfulfilled Kickstarters that they just, just for one reason or another. I mean, I know Eric bagged on Skarka this week, which I enjoy watching that because I always enjoy watching Gareth get kicked in the nuts. But I mean,
he's iconic. He's iconic.
He bagged on that, but yeah, that's great that you just. I mean, just the fact that you did it and got it out. I mean, that's pretty. That right there is better than some of the people in our hobby. James Raggy.
Yeah, I'm never gonna like bomb on someone specifically because I know stuff happens. Like we've been late with Pacesetter. Like we've had blunders and we've moved past them. But I think the important part in that is to just stay transparent, and I think that's where people get muddied up with these Kickstarters that are years unfulfilled or whatever. Granted, our late was like a couple months because of COVID-19 kind of thing. Like it,
people will forgive you. I mean, they will forgive you though if you're. And I know Eric and I we talk about Mike Nistel a lot, the Warrior Wizard. Our one clap on the back to him is that he came out and pretty much said he's a terrible businessman. He blew everybody's money and he's sorry and he'll never do it again. So I mean, at least he fessed up.
Only a fool would give me money for any of this stuff in the future.
So there's something to be said for, fessing up and saying, look, here's why I'm late, or I have issues. Now, if it turns into like Skarka did, where every other week a member of his family's dying, and then his pets died, and then it was one disaster after another. That starts getting ridiculous. But people will they'll absolutely forgive you if it's a logical, if they say, look, here's what's going on. Here's why I can't, get this out on this time. And most of the time people are our hobby is great people, and they are very forgiving of what they consider, just, ordinary mistakes, things happen, The dice company is late. The miniature company lost my miniatures in the mail. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can happen that aren't, my grandmother just died for the 5th time, and I had to go to another funeral. So,
I know, and I'm not trying to like take away from anyone else's issues or business or anything, but man, I ran that first Kickstarter, Rise of the Nefarious. We launched in, I believe, June of 2019. So it's coming up on a 3-year anniversary. I launched that in the summer before I went to my Disney internship, and I was in school. So I was running a Kickstarter, fulfilling a Kickstarter in college, full-time college student, and had an internship with Disney. That was a full-time job. It's doable. You just have to be disciplined about it, and stuff happens along the way for sure. But I actually thought about this today because I get emails like pretty often to like promote Kickstarters or stuff like that. I'm thinking about making like a commission thing. Like, I will teach you what you need to do to run a Kickstarter for this amount of money. I don't know if anyone will buy it, and that kind of feels like slimy, like just buy my class type thing. But like, I genuinely feel like I have so much knowledge at such a young age that it's hard to like put it out for free, because at some point you're giving away trade secrets. But
right,
I don't know. It is the highs and lows of Kickstarters. Is what I always say.
Well, and I think with Kickstarter, I mean, a lot of it is what not to do. It's don't offer stretch goals that are, I don't know, mugs and like
miniatures.
Glasses.
Definitely miniatures. Miniatures.
No miniatures. And I'm looking at
I do STL files. Like, there's always like there's always a better way to do the thing that you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a good idea, just think about it. Like, do an STL. That it's literally cheaper and easier to send.
Right. You don't have to.
So it's business better too. Like, people just don't think.
Right. You're not going to be like, sitting on an unfulfilled Kickstarter like the Invincible Overlord. And listen, we have these Kickstarters, and that's what annoys me. And I'm a huge Kickstarter fan, backer. What annoys me is that when people go, "Oh, I would never back a Kickstarter because of assholes like Ken Whitman, or because of Gareth." And you know what? These are the extreme examples, and they're there to show you, yes, it can go down the well real quick, but do your vetting as a customer. When you buy a used car, you're going to vet it, right? Unless you're, unless you're my son, in which case you just, But
I do want to answer, if I don't mind. I don't want to switch the topic too much, but someone asked if I go to UCF. I go to Full Sail. I go to Full Sail University here in Orlando. It's a school based on entertainment. And then someone else asked me, this is a deep question. Tell us how your childhood with Bill shaped your creativity. Wow, I'm gonna this is like therapist hour. I'm just gonna lean the chair back and just talk to you guys just about my childhood. No, that's a good question.
But you actually were answering that question without even realizing. You were saying
I did, yeah. We played like Fantasy Forest and Dungeon, so just innately, it was baked into my mind, kind of like Hydra brainwashing, I guess, over time. But yeah, I don't know. I the nicest part about having a dad who's interested in the same things as you are is if you're struggling with writing something or what to do, there's always someone to bounce it off of, and it's your dad. Okay. So what is he going to do? Ignore my call? Maybe, but no. I think having a creative dad really made me creative, and in the same ways, but different ways too, because I found my own lane of creativity aside from it. So that way, it wasn't just a bit of a carbon copy of him. So.
Somebody asked another technical. Well, first of all, before we get to this question, first of all, the reason we got Ben on here, I mean, we wanted Ben on here for a long time anyway to talk to him, but he's also got a Kickstarter that just started Monday. It's already funded. Endless Encounters, 5th edition BX Adventure Generator from Pacesetter Games. I'm actually very excited about this because a few years ago, your dad did a set of like dungeon level things where like they have like a 1 through 100 treasures, 1 through 100 monsters, and then they had like a sample dungeon. And I used to use these to put my grandkids because they're really easy. I could just pick it up, and it was only a few pages long. And then if I needed anything random, I could just roll on it. I really, really liked them, and I was really excited when this idea. I saw this idea because I thought, I wonder if they're going to redo those really cool dungeons they did. And then you told me that you were, and then I looked at the sample one, and it is. And I'm extremely excited because this is going to be a very useful supplement. And I'm looking at the sample layout here for the first one, and it's just, this is going to be extremely useful for anybody that wants to roll up an adventure on the fly, or that just wants something they can just grab and run at a moment's notice. So I'll let you talk about that for a while. Why don't you tell us if I missed anything there?
No, you explained it really well. For anyone who is aware of like old school products, essentially it's a monster and treasure assortment. So, but expanded greatly. So it's going to be, there's 2 separate hardcovers. There's 5th edition and BX. So that's like, covers our old school and new school fan bases there. And it's called Endless Encounters Dungeons. I'm looking at your screen instead of mine. I'll look at the bigger one. So essentially what it is there's 8 sections within this massive hardcover, and each section is designed for characters of that level. So section 1 is for characters who are level 1. Section 2 is for level 2. So if you are rolling up a random dungeon on the fly, it's just more accurate to what your party is, So if your characters are level 6, you turn to section 6 and then start rolling from there. There's tons of charts. It starts off with what sort of illumination is in your dungeon. So like if there's torches or braziers or no illumination, and then you get into the room design. So there's a bunch of different kinds of different rooms. There's arcane, there's military, there's generic or whatever. And then you fit the things inside those rooms, and there's charts for that. And then there's charts for the monsters, how the monsters act. And then the treasure and magic items. What container is the magic item in? What magic item is it? What treasure is it? So are there traps? Like there's so many charts and tables for designing a dungeon. It's such a great utility and source book that we're very, very excited to put out, because we haven't done a lot of utility and source books, even though we have a backlog of them. Like Mike said, we used to have our monster and treasure assortments. Now we're remastering them, adding to them, cleaning them up, fixing the layout, adding a gorgeous maps for every section. It's going to be a gorgeous book. I'm very, very excited for this. And it's especially something that sometimes you, as a creator in the RPG industry, I'll give you guys a hint. Sometimes you really want something for your table, so you end up just creating it instead of waiting for someone else to create it. And that's another reason why we wanted to do something like this.
And I'm excited too, because this is something I love, items that have utility for myself. Yeah, I mean, I'll back Kickstarters for people. Maybe I'm not going to use it. I just like to read it. Like I like Levi Combs' stuff. I love to read it. I haven't never used any of this stuff, but I've gotten some great ideas. Courtney's stuff, I've actually used at the table because he has some really cool charts. And I look at this. This to me is the same way. I will definitely use this. I mean, if nothing else, I'm running through Greg Gillespie's Highfell, and there's always rooms you go into that are empty, or that, it's just, okay, there's random treasure here. And I'm getting tired of the charts that Greg put in his book, because Greg didn't put very, very big charts in his book. So Greg Gillespie screwed up on that one. No, I'm just kidding.
There's also a little look at the layout too, for people who are asking kind of what it's going to look like. But we posted some of those charts on there as well.
These are great to roll on. I mean, if you just want random treasure, random monsters, this is exactly what I need for running a lot of the adventures that I like to run. So I think the utility of this is going to be immense.
Yeah, and I mean, we're well aware that a lot of people in the industry, or people who run games, they want source books. Not everyone wants a campaign book, because not everyone runs them. Obviously, the old school, I personally believe, has like a better percentage per capita of playing through campaigns they buy, because 5e has Wizards of the Coast stuff. But we're really thrilled to be doing sort of like source books now, because it just gets you using it at the table more instead of just like reading it for fun, right? Yeah.
All right, that's
about
as much as I can zoom in on the actual layout.
Yeah, we put up a YouTube video on the Pacesetter Games YouTube channel that kind of goes over this section 1 mock-up that we have for you guys. But yeah, the art is killer. Someone also asked about the editing and layout. We have a separate editor and a separate layout designer. And it's just really crazy how Pacesetter has grown. Like when I kind of started in, it was essentially just me, my dad, and then an artist. And now it's me, my dad, cartographer, editor, more than one artist. There's a layout designer. Like we're a team now, and it's really cool to sort of build something like that and be able to go at it with so many like-minded people. So Dmitry Yakovsky gets a huge shout out because he came on to the team and helped us out with Path of the Vanished to get that wrapped up. And then he's doing Into the Unknown, which is my solo module, or did Into the Unknown, my solo module. The Lost Triptych, which is Tom Wilson's book that we're producing. And then this book as well. So yeah, the art is stellar. I'm so happy to have him on. Good dude too. Really good dude.
Oh, how the hell did I switch over to Far West? That was not the intention. No.
How dare you, sir? How dare you? Have you no shame? Have you no shame?
I have shame, but I think I've lost my shame. Oh my god! all right. I'm gonna have to close the screen share.
Yeah, call it. Yeah. Get out of there. Get out of there. Get out of there! What are you doing?
If you go to the Kickstarter page, there's a sample of the layout right there. So it shows you kind of what you're looking at. So without the example of the dungeon map, but it shows you pretty much what you're looking at. It's even more detailed than that. That's just a small section of what you're going to see. So this is over 200 pages long. Really? That's pretty. That's huge.
It's going to be big. Each section is minimum 20 pages. So even if it was just off of like the first section that we have is 20 pages, and then sort of as you go to a higher level, there's more tables added because the dungeon should be a bit more complex at a higher level rather than just like pit traps and like stuff like that. So just like that multiplier gets higher. So even if you just did 8 times 20, that's 160. And then on top of that, there's the appendices with all the new stuff. There's just a ton of stuff that's going in. So yeah, it'll surpass 200, which is going to be really awesome.
Wow.
All right, so this is going to come from the old school gamer in me, but how different is the basic expert version going to be compared to the 5e version? I mean, 5e is not as heavy as Pathfinder. I will grant that, but still. Yeah. It's going to be a little bit of a page bloat, I would suspect.
Actually, no. It's almost the opposite. This is sort of like, I loved being transparent, honestly, with people. I do this on our YouTube channel and our Kickstarter updates. I haven't fully cracked the code yet it's cracked, but like refining. That's a good way to say it, of the 5e layout. Because if you guys saw behind the scenes, but the layout for the BX version, those stat blocks are in there. So they take up more space. In 5e, you don't put stat blocks for monsters in the books unless they're new. So instead of like covering essentially like 3 lines of a page, or like, like depending on if you're using like film script or whatever, it'd be like 1/8 of a page. We're using like a half of that. So the 5e book will actually likely be smaller in this case, where it's usually the opposite, because the 5e stat blocks are big, but since we're likely not putting stat blocks for like orcs and kobolds, like, just like all that kind of stuff, it's likely going to be smaller. Except then on the flip side, the appendices will be larger because the stat blocks for the new monsters and new magic items are way bigger. So, yeah.
Okay.
But aside from that, like, honestly, like the traps are kind of similar to like those will be bigger for 5e because they're more wordy. The NPCs will definitely be way bigger. It's such like a weird like trade-off thing that's been going on with it. So
interesting. Yeah. I mean, again, do I own 5e? Yes. Have I read through 5e? Mostly. Did I play test 5e? Yes, with the person asking you most of the questions in the chat, Greg. Vauban 666, but 5e has never really become that tasty nugget for me where it's like, oh yeah, I'll put aside my prior loves and jump into this one.
Yeah.
It's too much baggage for whatever gain I find. That being said, it certainly led to a huge number of projects that I guess we would call cross-platform if we were talking about computers and computer gaming. It's like, oh, it's it's Windows and OS X. Well, this stuff is 5e and BX, and therefore it's the best of both worlds. And Rising Tide is certainly lifting all ships. Now, you're it's part of the gaming industry, and I don't consider myself part of the industry. I am like, I don't know, one of those shoe flies that kind of finds the stink of shit and honey, and you'll see me around either one. You're actually wired into this, and not just as a creator, but as a publisher. And you've actually grown up with the rise of 5e. How do you see that as part of the industry?
It's really cool because, like I said, I didn't start out with 5e, so I kind of came in as an outsider essentially too. Even though it's such an important part of my life now, but I mean, it's really cool. It's I think the cool part about our stuff is a lot of it is written originally in the old school version and then converted to 5e. So everything that we do has that old school feel to it and that old school charm. It's sure. I know we've talked about it and other people have talked about it on the show, but like the OSR is kind of like a feeling, less than like a game system or a specific set of rules. It's just like a vibe. So we try to keep that in, even though 5e has surged so high, but being someone connected into it is really cool because, I go to game conventions and I meet people every single time. This is their first game convention. This is their first game of Dungeons and Dragons. It happens at our game stores. Like, go to the game store. Hey, not as much during COVID, obviously, but I've taken time off from going to game stores too. Not buying though. I always buy my stuff at game stores. Make sure you guys do that. And meeting people all the time that are so interested in it. And now, like, on social media, there's huge communities for Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I'm just getting into the TikTok Dungeons and Dragons community. I made another account aside from my personal one for Pacesetter to meet people that way. Like, it's just cool. It's so expansive. It reaches way beyond the table, which I think is what the hobby has needed for years.
Oh, I certainly. I mean, that's part of what 5e has also brought to the table, virtual or otherwise, is the integration of technology into even gaming at the physical table, which had been lagging behind for years. And I expect, like you've mentioned COVID, I expect that COVID is this whole last, 15 months of fucking hell is going to lead to a lot of technological jumps, especially in gaming. Gaming is a social activity, and social activities are going to see the hugest change in a post-COVID world, I would suspect. So,
yeah, there'll be an ease back in period, but I think everyone will fall back in. And people are creatures of habit, like really badly, or not badly, but like severely. So, people form different habits with COVID, obviously, but I think people will crave going back. Like, I know I'm really excited to go. I don't even love playing Adventurers League, but I can't wait. Like. When I feel like it's all good to go play, I can't wait. So, yeah.
All right, so question directed at you, because it's obviously not directed at me or Mike, because we don't play 5e, let alone run it. Have you played an adventure or a session with 5e and then played it with BX rules and
or vice versa?
Or vice versa? How was the experience? How do they compare, especially in like length?
Is that a question for me or for you guys?
That's for you.
For me. Yeah. Okay.
I don't. 5e and me. I hold my nose and be like, all right, I'll play. But,
so the coolest part about this is that Wizards of the Coast has remastered old school stuff to 5th edition. Like, so for example, my favorite book for 5e is Tales from the Yawning Portal, because it includes the Sunless Citadel, the Forge of Fury, the Giant series, Tomb of Horrors, and then one other adventure, something with Drow, Vault of the Drow, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, that's not it.
I think it's Descent in the Depths. Maybe.
I'm not gonna be able to remember it anyway. Yeah, the feel is definitely different with 5th edition, but I think it's still there because of how deadly those adventures are. I think oh my god, I'm gonna get it. I think Chris Perkins worked on that. He's a really good game designer. So yeah, they're obviously different. It takes longer for number 1. Number 2, the encounters don't work the same because there's obviously just certain abilities that aren't from 5th edition, like level drain or life drain doesn't work the same way. So that can kind of be a damper as a dungeon master. You don't get that to use that. But yeah, it's definitely a different feel or a different experience, but the same feeling if you have the proper dungeon master to deliver that feeling. So that's always my opinion on it. Because even with an old school game, a less experienced or weaker dungeon master can really take away from the experience.
Okay, so David B had a question. I think your father wound up answering this in a later comment.
Yeah, but we don't really care what he thinks. We want to know.
All right. Well, here's the question: How does
Dead and Thay? That's it. Dead and Thay. Sorry.
How does your current Kickstarter compare to something like the Tome of Adventure Design for dungeon content?
Yeah,
and I'm gonna give you a cheat. I'm gonna put your father's answer up on the screen.
I was gonna say that's what I was gonna say.
That works out perfectly. Well, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Tome of Adventure Design, written by Matt Finch, one of the greatest guys. The few, I don't know what you say. There's probably 10 people in our hobby, and then he's one of them. The top 10 people in our hobby that just really did something that made our hobby more than it was. And Matt Finch wrote this, and it's an incredible book, but it looks to me like the Endless Encounters is more geared towards nuts, like your dad said, nuts and bolts play. Tome Adventure Design is more about when you're making the actual adventure.
Brainstorming.
And there's a lot of tables in there, but honestly, I don't think Tome Adventure Design works that great at the table while you're gaming. It's great if you're gonna, especially if you need an idea and you just want to roll random items you find in a dungeon or random titles of adventures or random plot lines. Endless Encounters, at least to me, seems like it's more nuts and bolts that you can actually put that on the table, and while you're playing, you can roll in there and roll different treasures, different monsters. That's not what Tome Adventure Design is about. I mean, both really good books. I mean, Tome Adventure Design is a great book, but it's much more preparation than it is actual use and play.
Yeah, I think that's the main differentiating factor. And I know personally, we love random spontaneous stuff at the table.
Right.
Like we generally, I do a lot of my home campaigns. I either do Pacesetter stuff, old school stuff that's remastered for 5e, whether Wizards did it or I want to do it, or my own stuff. And for my own stuff, I always give them random treasure. I never. Unless they need something, like if they don't have a cleric and they need a staff of healing, I'll give them a staff of healing so that way they don't get TPK'd.
Right.
But we always roll for it's just more fun at the end of the adventure. Be like, ooh, what do we get? And then we roll off D100s for it. And it's like, it's just such a cool feeling.
And I just started doing that. I have never done. I've been playing since the late 70s, and I always relied on pre-done treasure lists. And in Highfell, when I'm running Highfell with my group, I have just started running random treasure, and we have it's fun. I mean, I let the players roll. I say, okay, give me a die 100, a die 4, and a die whatever. And we've had the best time because you don't know what's going to come up. I mean, it could totally change the whole picture of the campaign. I mean, it's crazy. And I am become a real embracer of just rolling random treasure at the table. And we've had a great time doing that. And I never did it before. I never did it in my 40 years of game, but just started doing it in the last year or so. We just started rolling random treasure.
And mine, honestly, like embarrassingly, was spawned out of like being a little bit lazy. That like I would do. I'm a big I almost like improv a lot of my campaigns. We'll kind of make it up we'll make it up as we go at the table. And I think the reason I can even do that is because of like watching legends like Tim Kask and Frank Menster do that at game conventions. Like you write them a thing on a piece of paper and then they make up a dungeon in like 3 minutes. So I started to do that and I just got lazy and stopped doing treasure. And then we just use the charts, but it's fun. So why not?
Bob G says random treasure can break campaign. Well, I'll just tell you the case I had the last time we played 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I rolled a treasure. It was a staff of the Magi. which I think there's a few items in the treasure list that are just way overpowered, and one of them is the Staff of the Magi. So what I did was it has like, I don't know, 10 random effects. I told him to roll a dice 3 times, and I just gave the staff. It wasn't a Staff of the Magi, but it was a pretty powerful staff. I gave them each effect they rolled. So I just numbered them off 1 to 10, say roll 3 times, and that's what the staff did. And then my brother immediately goes, "That sounds like a Staff of the Magi, but doesn't have all the powers." I said, "Bingo! He's exactly right. I'm not giving you a Staff of the Magi.
Staff of the Magi, light.
That's a quest, man. If you go to Staff of the Magi, that's a freaking quest. No, what it is it's got, it could cast an ice storm. It can do that. I mean, it had 3 different powers in there, so it's still a really powerful staff. But that, I think that's cool. I like improving at the table and having to think on your feet and think, okay, yeah, I don't really give them that. Or sometimes I'll just riff off an item. If they have, like, I don't know, the Iron Bands of Bolaro, and I'm like, that's a dumb item. I don't really like that. I'll think of something that kind of does the same thing, but not quite. And it can be fun. I mean, because you get to, you don't give them exactly what they roll. Sometimes you fudge it a little bit. They roll for random scroll and they roll wish 3 times. I don't want to give them 3 wishes. So, you give them 2 other things you think are cool too. You give them a wish and 2 other things, and it works out.
You got to balance it. You got to give them a curse.
Yeah,
come on.
It's fun. Yeah. No, but it's fun to do it that way too. It helps the DM keep awake and keep him thinking on his feet also, not just the players.
Yep. Yeah. Reroll is always a good option.
Yep. David B asked if there's going to be standard monster lists and new stuff. Your father says there are new monsters, but
standard and new. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking at the list now. There's some pretty cool stuff. I like the list here. There seems to be a pretty good variety, at least on the first level dungeon I'm seeing. So this is pretty cool. I mean, I can use this just the little preview that you gave me. I could use this tomorrow or Saturday to play.
Right on, dude.
Well, this is first level though. My group's a little higher than that, but I'd still use it anyway. It's fun. And I don't know about you, but so Eric probably relates to this more than Ben would, but when you're young and you get D&D, you sit around and a fun thing to do is roll up random characters, right? You just roll up characters.
Oh, random characters in random dungeons. Come on. From the back of D&D.
And random dungeons. That's what I'm getting at. I will just sit there all day long and roll up random dungeons. And every once in a while, you'll be rolling up a random dungeon and go, man, this is pretty darn cool. This is no longer a random dungeon. I'm going to make this into an actual dungeon because this is kind of cool. And I can do that all day long. I can roll up a random dungeon, just to keep my mind occupied forever.
That's how, honestly, a lot of my stuff comes to be. Like, we did the Book of Beginnings, which is a Pacesetter book that has 12 essentially one-shots that are starts to campaigns or just side quests. And a lot of those were just adventures from my home campaign that we did, and my friends, really liked. And I was like, oh, cool. Oh, we'll put this in the next book. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the instant feedback.
Bob G, monsters, enemies in my games use the items they have. They're not sitting in a pile waiting for the players to take them. And that's a good point. If you had something that's advantageous for you, why would you leave it underneath your bedroll?
That's why I was not going to give my players Staff the Magi. That's a quest item. That's a BBEG item. That's so it's like, okay, let's give them something cool because they did roll up something cool, but let's not make it overpowering. So it's going to have some good powers. It was like a +1 staff, and it could do 3 of the things. I can't remember exactly what 3 items, but they were useful, and they were like, oh, this is pretty cool staff. My brother's the one Mr. He's read the DMG front to back. I mean, the player's handbook, everything. He's like, oh, that's a Staff of the Magi under a different name. I'm like, well, there you go. Yeah. You're absolutely correct, dumbass. Mr. Rules Reader, reading all the magic items. The other guys I play with they either got stoned a lot when we were kids or whatever. They don't know anything. My brother's the only one that's up to. I hate to give him credit, but he's pretty on the ball when it comes to stuff like that.
Well, let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my dice, and we're gonna roll some treasure.
Nice. Let's do it.
Ooh. So,
Staff of the Magi, come on, Staff of the Magi.
Bill, treasure tables in the book are level specific in regards to magic items. There is randomness and nothing that will break your game at that level. And that's good. Because that's part of the problem with the DMG when it's like, oh my God, you got a vocal blade, but I'm only 2nd level. But the dice rolled it.
Yep. Even in the 5e1, they say it's separated in the charts that they give, and then like we all kind of roll our eyes because we're like,
Sure.
Somehow you can still get like really strong items in like chart B. It's like, I get the randomness of like, oh, possibly this wizard like got it off the black market or like whatever. But to answer Bob's question, I recommend rolling it after, so that way you get like the player reaction once they're actually triumphant from the fight, because like there's that high of after like you win a fight, what do we get, and then they get to kind of decide. So see what we got here. I got a 57. I think that's 78 gold pieces. No magic items.
I'll take that. You can retire with that if you're in a small village.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
that's enough to retire on. Okay, I'm happy.
Of course, split between your party members and
your
any hirelings you got if they're taking 10%. You gotta split it up a little bit.
I got 7 gold pieces. Okay, yeah, we got to keep rolling then.
We want to get the players a curse. They have to just feel like a staff of the match.
We need more.
There you go. Your brother would appreciate that one, Mike.
61. What do we got? Oh, we were right off of the Javelin of Lightning.
11 platinum pieces.
So close. 11 platinum pieces.
I'll take that. Well, that's okay. Split that. Everybody's got a platinum. Now, my problem would be that in the games I play, you can't spend platinum in a small village. They don't know what to do with that.
Nope.
That's like you got to go to the big city to spend the platinum.
Chris Haskins was essentially rolling in his grave when I told him that there was Electrum in here, because he does not like Electrum, and I was like,
I don't use it either.
It's going to stay in because of you.
I don't use Electrum either. It just
I don't think a lot of people do, but you can convert.
It's just another unnecessary form of gem or coins that.
Well, maybe we'll change it now. Maybe that's some good feedback, because we're always looking to improve stuff. So we might change it, because I know my brain. I personally think in gold, silver, or copper, because that's
right.
I grew up playing World of Warcraft, so like that's the only thing that's in World of Warcraft. So that's how I think, but. I always try to like remember to put platinum in there on like really good victories.
In my campaign world, platinum is kind of like, they used to have $1,000 bills, which they've taken them all out of circulation now, and that was what the J. Paul Gettys or whatever you would use to trade. That they would do the $1,000 bills. If you're a regular person, you never came
drug cartels,
right? And that's actually why they stopped making it, was because of drug cartels. But yeah, that's what I would. That's what I would use platinum for. That's how the very rich merchants trade between themselves. Average person doesn't know what to do when they get a platinum piece.
And then Electrum is kind of like a $2 bill then. Like by that sort of like real life thing. Like I see Electrum as like a $2 bill. Like it's a cool novelty to hang around, but you're probably not spending it.
I'll tell you something else I do in my campaigns is I play up the idea of ancient currency. Like they have currency that's printed quote unquote now. But they also, like, if you're in a 1,000-year-old barrow and you dig it up, you're not finding current currency. You're finding coins that were printed a long time ago. And sometimes like there's a thing like older coins might have more gold content, or they're fake. I mean, there's all kinds of different directions you can go if you're role playing.
Right. Maybe the old coins, iron was important as a coin, but now. They're not using iron as coins, so it's like, was it really worth anything? Well, you found a treasure hoard of iron coins, which is worth, a couple coppers.
Whatever the iron is, yeah. Well, also, I know some people that have a lot of that do really well playing a silver currency game. In other words, silver is what people mostly use, and gold is like that's what merchants use, and at higher levels they use gold. So most of the treasure you find is going to be. I want to say that Lamentations of the Flame Princess is a silver-based economy. I'm not positive though, but I think that's a really interesting concept too. Is that that also makes a case where you can actually use copper pieces, because my group's at the point being 7th to 9th level that when they find copper now they just dump it all on the hirelings. Go, we're not carrying this crap around.
Leave the rest.
But if you have a silver-based economy, copper actually becomes worth something, because it's actually.
Take the copper, leave the cannoli. I guess not.
That's obscure, and I know what it is. I'm a Godfather fan, so I know exactly where it came from. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I like adding minted cobalt coins that poison you the longer you hold on to them. But are accepted by dwarves as the equivalent of silver.
I like that. Yeah, that's kind of a cool little aspect there. See, that's why I love stuff like this. You get all kinds of cool ideas about stuff like that, and it's so much better than just saying you have generic coins. Okay, here's just a bunch of generic. As a matter of fact, I had players find a load because I had my campaign world had a cataclysm 2,000 years ago. Everything was destroyed, and sometimes you find some really old hordes. I had the case where a horde was actually worth more than the gold because collectors wanted the coins. The coins were so old, they're like, whoa. Because most of the time, what I say is when you get a coin, it's melted down and then recast as newer, as newer currency. Well, no. These coins are so old that before the cataclysm, these gold pieces are actually worth 2 gold pieces each because the collectors will pay more, and some might even be worth more than that. So that was kind of an interesting twist. The players thought that was kind of cool because the gold was like, well, don't mix that gold with our other gold because this is the more valuable gold. Whereas a bandit wouldn't know. A bandit would have no clue, just like, oh, that's just, whatever. But one of their characters was one of the priests of the priesthoods of knowledge, and he knew that, oh, yeah, these coins are worth way more than their actual mineral content. So there's all kinds of cool things you can play with that.
Well, and as Bob G points out, Greyhawk currencies varied, I guess, mostly by country. So really, if you were playing that accurately, you found gold pieces, but where were they? Are they from Furion? Are they from Niron, the Great Kingdom?
And that's that makes a lot of sense too. You would actually have some. I mean, then
you have to convert the currency. Is it realistic? Yes. Is it? Does it become? Am I role playing a fantasy RPG? Am I role playing my hero, the accountant? I don't know. I mean, I there's some weights I just don't.
A little bit would go a long way. Yeah, every once in a while, I'll throw something fun like I have a lot of fun with regional languages because look at our country. I mean, even in the United States, you can take somebody from the deep South, Texas, and put them in New York City, and either one of them don't know what the fuck they're talking about because Eric knows this. Eric lives in New York, and then you get some people with some accents that are like, "Whoa, where is that? What the hell?" I mean, they're Irish, plus they've lived in New York, but then they also lived in. I mean, just crazy stuff. So I like to play with regional accents a lot in my game too. Where, we speak there's not really common. You speak human, but humans can also speak different languages. You're a human from the other side of the world. You don't exactly speak the same language, and so I have fun with that sometimes too.
Yeah. Listen, the best accent that I think I ever heard goes back about 20 years when my son was going through his communion and stuff. It was a Catholic parish. The priest was from Spain, but he did missionary work in Northern Ireland. So he spoke English with a Spanish accent with a Gaelic twang to it.
Holy crap.
Which
can you attempt it? You can't even attempt it.
I can't even attempt it, but I was just like, I'm listening to him, I'm like, I recognize, and it's a Spanish accent, which is different than what most of us here in the Americas. We are like a Puerto Rican or Dominican or Mexican accent going on, like a Central American. But no, this was Spanish, but he spoke English, and it had the Spanish accent and the Gaelic twang. And some Gaelic slang words coming up. There's homily, and I was like,
"Oh my gosh,
this is bizarrely good." And yes, if I could have taped it and bottled it, but this is before we had any of the new technologies that us boomers don't know how to use. Sorry,
big boomer.
I'm not a boomer.
Okay, boomer.
Boomer.
I'm trying to catch up on the.
Okay, so we covered it. So we covered the Kickstarter. We will ask Ben to join with us on our trip through the week. And what did WotC fuck up? But no, we're not going to ask you to do that, Ben, because you may want to work with WotC someday. We're not going to burn your bridges for you. Okay?
I don't know about that one. I'm honestly at that burn. I'm at that burn point. I don't think that.
Yeah, I don't think Ben's going to quite.
No. You may want to work for Disney someday, so we won't bag on Disney either, because you may still work for Disney.
Thank you.
But no, but I don't think WotC. I don't think WotC.
Whoa! Are you saying that one
WotC and
Wizards and Wizards of the Coast and Disney will merge and be Disney, and the new logo will be a wizard taking a piss? I mean, is that what
all right? So WotC didn't screw anything up this week. So
No, and they didn't do anything good. They actually did nothing. So I mean, it wasn't
nothing will work out for you sometimes. Believe me. So what else do we have going on? I know that you posted a Whitman something, and it's just weird. And I listened to it. I didn't understand what was going on, but I guess none of us really understand what's going on. It's just that our favorite shyster our favorite sleazebag was served something, or he's in trouble with somebody else that may be a worse human being than him, which is hilarious. Right. It's like watching, Frankenstein fight Dracula or something. Like, okay, I don't know who I want to win because they're both miserable.
Ken Whitman is the poster child of many things, but I will say he's certainly the poster child of Kickstarter. I'm trying to say Kickscammer, but Kickstarter shenanigans. 6 Kickstarters unfulfilled, and then
what?
6 Kickstarters.
Stop.
You gotta work hard. You're gonna have to work hard, Ben, to reach this level.
Yeah. I'm not. Cutting it off. That solo adventure I wrote, no one's getting it.
No.
And this is back in the day when like Kickstarter didn't really give any shits. So it's like, oh, you want to run concurrent Kickstarter before the other one even finish funding? Go for it!
No shit, that was a thing. Oh my god.
Yeah. So he did the most famous thing he's known.
He was one of the reasons I think they don't do it anymore. That's
yeah. Most of the time, you have to deliver on yours before you can even. Well, if you have a good
not in the old days.
They now it's like they'll give you a notification like, hey, it looks like you haven't fulfilled your other ones, and then like they check and they're like, oh, you have or you're good, keep going. So
right.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. No. So Ken's most famous failure, right? It's not even an alleged failure, so I'm gonna go right out and just say his most famous failure is the Knights of the Dinner Table live action series, which shortly after its funding. He had pictures of himself on a cruise and a new car. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, and the best part about the new car was he insisted he only had it to test drive for like 3 weeks. So probably what happened is he, again, conjecture, assumption, I am speculating. I might even be spitting. But I am certainly not saying it's a fact, but I speculate that it was bought under pretenses that might have been less than truthful, and they repossessed it after 3 weeks. Just conjecture there. Ken has done a great job at moving his place of residence and the businesses that he's run. He's run a comic book / gaming store that's invariably titled Little Monsters, but then his girlfriend owned it because I guess it was property that could have been taken away from him for all these attempts to get debt out of him. He was actually taken to court in New York State by Louis Desi Jr. Louis is a supporter of the tavern, and he is somebody who went to law school, is not a bard. I guess he's barred from being barred. He's not a licensed attorney, but he went to small claims court, and you can represent yourself in small claims court. Right. He did a great job doing it, where Ken had to admit that the Knights of the Dinner Table live action series, the first hard drive was a failure, and the 2 backup drives that he claimed we had were stored in a barn of one of his friends, and the barn burned down. This is what Ken stated under oath.
Unbelievable.
Maybe he's just creating the TV show, just like that's his. Maybe instead he was like, I'm not going to make that. I'm going to make a reality show out of my life.
Oh no!
Did anyone ever think of that?
Ken's Call to Fame, at least as he was concerned, he was an extra in The Walking Dead.
Wow.
He was the pickaxe savior, which means that he was in the background holding a pickaxe in one scene.
Ooh.
So he actually then he tried to sell some paraphernalia from The Walking Dead, with certificates of authenticity that the authenticating company said, we never printed these. This is not what our certificates look like. No. And then Ken had to go, oh, well, we'll do this sale not via we'll we'll reevaluate this sale. It was some boots of some.
Kind of just seems like a con artist.
Yeah, con man Ken. I mean, I've heard him referred to as such, but so in any case, Ken really believes that listen, all this stuff involving gaming was a means to an end. He wanted to buy equipment so he could be a big film guy in Atlanta, Georgia. And a story that doesn't get told too often, and I did converse with the woman that he scammed in Atlanta, Georgia. She was somebody who was trying to get into the film industry. She thought Ken was, I don't know, the best thing since sliced bread. I'm being polite about it. And Ken scammed her out of thousands of dollars and produced nothing before moving on back to Kentucky or wherever else he fled to. He's basically, anytime he pops up in an industry, in a community, it doesn't need my help to expose his history. Other people do it. Yeah. So it's great. But people like Ken, you can't give an inch because they pop up again. So Ken was working for another company in down south. It was a black-owned production company. He was their public relations official or something like that. Apparently that didn't go out very well for him. So now he had a movie produced titled The Whittler, or the Whitlier, or some shit like that. Obviously nothing to do with Ken Whitman. So when you look at the advertising material for this, you look at the Kickstarter, Ken's name is not attached to it at all in the Kickstarter. You'd have no idea that Ken Whitman was attached to the Kickstarter.
This was a Kickstarter?
Yes. The Whitlier.
Why did people...
Well, so now catch this. The Whitlier was not actually kickstarting the movie. It was kickstarting the premiere, which they were going to have at this like bed and breakfast or something like that. And they were trying to raise $2,500. They raised just over. But if you look at the funding levels and the backers, they raised just over $525 maybe. So this is all like, fairy godmother coming in to give the other $2,000 to fund it. Not a surprise. Certainly not a scam. Certainly not saying that. Certainly not a scam. So in any case, this movie gets produced. It gets released. It stars some WWE wrestling star that I never heard of. But I don't follow wrestling. So.
Well, you probably don't know too many anyway, Eric. So
yeah, no, my son. I got to reach out to Vince Florio and say, Vince, do you know?
Oh, Vince, yeah, Vince will help you out there.
Yeah. So in any case, you look at the movie poster. You look at all this advertising for it. They don't list writer and they don't list director. Why? Because writer and director, if you go to IMDb, is Whitman.
Whitman.
Because he won't use Ken Whitman professionally anymore because it is.
It's been destroyed.
It's the dagger of death.
Yeah.
So, as Wild Die Woodward is pointing out, Pencil Dice alone raised $38,000. I haven't figured out how much Ken built people for. And by the way, Marcus King, if you're watching this, I still think you're an asshole and an enabler. That's just my opinion. Marcus is Ken's biggest defender online. So Ken, again, supposedly not involved in this, shares on Facebook that, hey, we're kickstarting the release of our new film. So he had to push it on his Facebook, and it could only get 10 backers anyway. But this is why he's involved in the Kickstarter, but had to remove himself from it because Kickstarter probably, I'm assuming, Ken's name is well known enough that they would have killed it the moment they saw he was involved in it. If you look at the reviews for this wonderful movie on IMDb, they are either 1 or 2 stars or 10 stars. Best horror movie ever. I was on the edge of my seat. To who the hell would make this piece of shit?
Why would they call it the Whittler? I'm so confused.
Because Ken.
Hitler. Did they not put that together? Or is that the point?
No,
I'm so confused.
No. So here's the thing. So it's funny because apparently you can have interesting facts about the Whittler on IMDb, and obviously written by Ken or one of his crew. This was written in 2005 by Whitman and finally produced in 2020. Okay, and the next comment is, oh, by the way, Ken Whitman is best known for 6 scam Kickstarters, raising well over $100,000 for projects that never got fulfilled. So I love seeing that. It just made me feel happy to see somebody else was nice enough to include information. So I'm now looking to find it because it says it was releasing.
I mean, it looks
Amazon.
like 4 people watched the movie anyway.
Yeah, but it looked like it was releasing. It was releasing on Amazon where you could rent it or buy it, and that was back in October. So I'm trying to find it, and you can't find it on Amazon. Amazon says it's not released in your region. I got to do a little bit deeper. I found an article on Yahoo, a Yahoo link, an article. And now Ken had the trailer up on his own Facebook feed, still up there. It is cringeworthy, but that's besides the point. The original Facebook video was removed for copyright dispute filed by an Edward Kramer. Now, Ed Kramer, as we discussed prior to the show, co-founder of Dragon Con, convicted child pornography owner, convicted once, arrested twice with pending charges. So, God, you can't make this shit up.
If you want to deep dive on it, so Ed Kramer, he was a co-founder of Dragon Con. For a long time he had 30% of the business, 30-something%. It was run by a board. After about 90-something, it was just run by a board. And I don't think the original owners really had much input, except they collected their gigantic checks every year. So Ed's been in hobby since like the 80s. He's written, edited. I mean, he did all kinds of cons, but he also likes to diddle little boys. And so he finally got busted for this about 2000. I think he'd been paying people off for years to not, kind of like the Michael Jackson thing, not to, not get trouble. So 2000, he finally gets arrested. This does not go to trial till 2013. Why, may you ask? Because Ed worked the system. He immediately got hurt and had injuries for the next 13 years that prevented him from going to court. Every time he about to go to court, he get a doctor to say he can't go to court. He's hurt.
Ken, it's Ed, your old roommate. Do you have any advice on how to go to court? Perhaps we're not recorded line, are we? No.
When you read about Ed and then Whitman, it makes sense they were friends because they're both the absolute scum sleazeballs of the earth. So finally, in 2013, he finally burned through everything, and the judge said, "You need, put up or sit up." So So the day before court was going to begin, he basically said, "I'm guilty." So wasted their time for 13 years, but he was free for 13 years. Didn't have to do anything.
Right.
I don't think his penalty was very much because he was out again to be arrested for more kid porn in 2019. I think it was just a few years ago, along with a judge.
He was working with the legal system, working with investigators into some kind of criminal offenses,
right.
And then of course apparently said, "Hey, this isn't my computer. Let me find some kiddie porn that won't get traced to me." Oh, wait, you mean it got traced to me?
Well, because it turns out, and then they also, a judge lost his career over that one because a judge either helped him access the kiddie porn or left their password out, which had all this confidential information enough to where Kramer found it. So the judge is like, I don't even think so is a judge anymore. I think they totally kicked him out of the business. And so he's had off and on kiddie porn charges for the past 20 years. I mean, just on and on. It just never stops, like I said. And so this guy is a master of basically working the legal system. So I wish them both luck with each other because he of all the people that want to make for all the misery you've given him over the years, Eric, he has not faced anything till he goes up against this pervert Ed Kramer.
Oh no.
Kramer is a absolute mess, and he just loves to litigate. He loves to litigate. He loves to, like I said, he's a guy that stayed out of jail for 13 years because his lawyers would just do everything. Oh, he's hurt. Oh, he hurt his back. He can't walk today. Oh, he just had a mental episode. I mean, just kept, every time he come for trial, they just kick the can down the road. So he's going to mess up Ken a lot, and so this is going to be kind of hilarious. Except I'd root for him, except that honestly, Ed Kramer's the worst human being. He's worse than Ken, because I don't think Ken's ever been accused of kitty diddling, whereas Ed has absolutely been convicted of it. So he's just filth.
Yeah, I mean, Ken is a different level of evil. Ken is like a narcissist and all that other stuff. I mean. Just as a background for Ben, because Ben probably doesn't, Ken was the first one to threaten me with legal action. He threatened me not just with
for covering the story, or for what?
Well, let's see. He told me that he'd filed a federal complaint against me, and that the FBI was going to be visiting. And I said, when the invisible FBI comes and visits, or your imaginary FBI, I will bring out the imaginary donuts and coffee. And we will talk about my real career and their imaginary one. He thought I was Ernie Gygax for a while, because he thought I lived in Lake Geneva. And I guess I can see some of the physical, similarities, but other than that, I'm not Ernie. Then he actually said he wanted to hit me with a DCMA takedown notice for using a visual image of Ken without his permission. And I was like, well, Ken, you do realize that you don't own your image. The image is owned by the photographer that took it. So the photographer that took it has a problem with me using an image of you on my blog. I will gladly take it down. They can contact me. Apparently you know how to. But in the meantime, I will modify the image so it is no longer offensive to you. And I did. I just put a pile of a shit, where his head was. And made that the image for Ken, because I thought it was just very appropriate.
That's kind of funny.
So yeah, Ken, he is somebody who he claimed he had post-concussion syndrome. It's the illness that a lot of the football players come down with, that gets diagnosed after death, because they do an autopsy of the brain and they can see the damage. And
CTE.
CTS. Concussion trauma syndrome, I guess CTS. And
CTE is the actual, what does CTE stand for?
Because
they can detect it. Chronic traumatic long word I can't say.
Right. Well, before there was any way to diagnose it prior to an autopsy, Ken claimed he was diagnosed with it, and I did have to point out. I was like, Ken, as far as I can tell, you're still living, and then I don't think they've cut your head open to remove the brain, although we probably couldn't tell if that was the case. How can you be diagnosed with a disease that we don't have a way to diagnose prior, unless you're going to? Ken the Scammer is going to a world-renowned doctor who's doing some experimental techniques, which
of course
doesn't happen. So, needless to say, Ken Whitman holds a very special place in my heart. And with his multiple Kickstarters, I didn't back any of them. That's the funny part. It's not like Gareth Sharka, Gareth the Hutt, where I backed at $150 because I thought I was going to get this unique piece of artwork, and it's just really a Photoshop of me with red hands looking... you know what? Like a child toucher. I'll be honest with you. It looks really disgusting, and that's what I paid my $150 for. But I'm never going to actually see it other than like as an online picture that people can mock, because Gareth is not gonna. I'm going to be married for 10 years in November, and in December this Kickstarter will be 10 years late. So I'll reach a decade of marriage, and then we'll be able to say Far West is a decade behind.
Well, it's never going to come out, and it's amazing. He still gets work in the industry. He still gets work in the industry. He gets a lot of work in the industry. He'll never have a Kickstarter again. He'll never do a Kickstarter again. That's the one victory you can have over these guys like Whitman and Skarka, is they will never be able to monetize their work on any kind of Kickstarter or Indiegogo again, because their names are mud, and there's a certain amount of people that just keep track of them. And if this comes up, they'll just jump up there and say, "Hey, this is the guy who didn't do this, this, and this." So that is the one victory you can have over those kind of people, is that they'll never be able to raise money in that form using that format.
Yeah, I do take pride in the fact that Gareth threatened to punch me in the throat if he ever saw me in person, and he did that on a podcast. And to get a threat like that on a podcast, I think I've reached a new level of satisfaction. And that
was great. Yeah,
I mean,
that is definitely that's definitely a badge of courage right there. Is that is being able to say you're going to punch somebody on a podcast when you're never going to see them ever. You're never going to see them. So yes, I'm going to punch The Rock in the face when I see him next time. He's a punk. I will punch The Rock right in the face.
Isn't he a D&D player too? And doesn't he like?
That's you're thinking of
Vin Diesel.
You think of Vin Diesel? Yeah. I'll punch him in the face too. By the way, I'll just boom, boom. Yeah.
And he'll be like,
I can say that.
Did I feel something? Was that something that?
Yeah. No.
I don't know. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't feel something. I don't quite know. But
well, I would pay to see Ken do an Eric Tenkar mockumentary. Now that would be high humor. That would be excellent.
I think if we don't get this, I'm going to be upset now. Now that I have the context of the situation.
Oh, boy.
Well, listen, and the reason why I do my, seasonal updates on people like Ken and Gareth is because, yes, they shouldn't be forgotten. And the reason why they shouldn't be forgotten is because if we forget them, they're going to damage the market of Kickstarter more than they already have. You don't want somebody like that rising from the ashes. And I mean, even in the case of Ken screwed over Jelly Blackburn, and then Ken came back as I'm reformed. I am no longer the scumbag that I was, and then wound up doing the same shit a second time. So Ken is somebody that preys on people of goodwill and good character, and the idea of, I can be a better person. And in the case of Ken, he can't. I mean, that's just it's the nature of his personality. I did watch how when it looked like he was going to be sued, that all of a sudden he no longer owned a game store, but his girlfriend now owned a game store that went from being Little Monsters game store or gaming to Little Monsters Entertainment. It's like, well, how did that suddenly? And apparently he has no stock, so there's nothing that you could take from him. Wow, somebody again playing the system like Monsieur Kramer. If you know how to play the legal system, it can be to your advantage. So, yeah, I am the bear in the butt of certain individuals. I heard Luke Frame was going to announce Ken Whitman alphabetically. Thank you, Doomberry. That is certainly a callback, and that brings into play a lot of things. And again, I am a huge Kickstarter fan. Behind me, before I say I'm going to do this, let's see. I haven't checked in a long time, meaning like a couple of weeks. How many Kickstarters I have backed, and I don't need Rach to hear, because if she hears,
oh no, yeah,
I'm not saying she'd kill me or anything like that, but I don't think I think I'd never hear the end of it. So, okay, successful pledges, not counting two that I have currently going, which includes Endless Encounters Dungeons and Mythic Table. I have successfully backed 471 projects.
Whoa, dude!
I have backed 22 unsuccessful projects, but when most of my unsuccessful projects were backed for $1, because I wanted to follow along for the like the Enchanted Oasis soap. Was
that the one with the dye in it?
Yeah.
That article was so funny. That was probably one of the funnier things that I read.
The Rifts board game I backed for $1. Pathbreaker D20 rules system supplement backed for $1. The fantasy adult coloring gaming art I backed.
You know what project I'm really excited for? I'll shoot you a
Which?
link on Facebook. I don't know how much that you guys would be interested in it, but I'm like, I cannot wait for this thing. One of the past lead game designers for World of Warcraft made a tabletop game company. He left Blizzard like a year ago.
I saw something about that. Somebody aren't they like at $250,000 already or something?
Oh, they're at
godful amount.
They're going to hit 700,000 tonight or tomorrow. Yeah, it's massive. There is 5,330 backers right now.
Wow.
Well,
I'm proudly one of them. I'm so excited for this thing. It's like a setting book. It looks like it's like a region within their world that they're building. So I'm super excited for it. Yeah. I don't know. Just like, I know we've talked about like negative people, I guess, for a while.
No, talk about the good people. I mean,
the thing is that they've never done a Kickstarter, but they're like super successful game designers, so I'm sure they're fine. But
right. Well, actually, that looks pretty. Yeah, I peeked at it and I didn't look too closely at it because I think it's for 5e. And
it is.
I was like,
yeah.
It is for
but
5e.
I have it up on the screen right now. Yes, they are at 672,000 with 29 days to go. So now, recently, Enworld, sometimes it used to pain me to say Enworld, but they've gotten so much better. I can actually say it, not feel gamer dirty. Enworld had an article about all these Kickstarter companies, publishers that have hit over $1 million raised via Kickstarter, not even Indiegogo, just Kickstarter. And it was an interesting list to see. And For Our God Is On It, Goodman Games, some of the companies that we've obviously Free League, but this is going to be on it right out of the right out of the chute. That's going to be interesting because they certainly I came on with tabletop role playing, AD&D 1E, but right away I got a Commodore 64 so I could play Ultima, and I got my initial IBM 486 so I could play things like Myth and Magic and Bard's Tale. So it comes full circle, and the overall we've seen people like Jeff Grubb left tabletop role playing to go work for computer game companies and publish stuff. So
most did. Most of those guys, Orange Chick, Dennis Sestero, all those guys back then, Alan Hammock, they all went to work for computer companies or the burgeoning industry with Coleco or some of the other companies. So that's not unusual.
By the way, the comments are that people are like, I only backed 52 myself. Listen, I've backed enough that if I'm going to critique Kickstarters, I think I can effectively critique Kickstarters. And I've seen why some have failed. I've seen why others have certainly succeeded. And I've seen why some have funded and yet failed to complete. I will say probably the best example of something that funded and was not completing, but at least put itself in a position where it could complete, was Ernie Gygax and Benoit. Because with the
that's a very unusual situation. I mean, so unusual that it just doesn't happen. It doesn't. I mean, that just does not happen where somebody doesn't really complete the Kickstarter, but they haven't spent the money. That's amazing that happened.
And I knew they hadn't spent the money because Ernie showed me the bank statement years ago at GaryCon, and I was like, wow. I mean, because that's foresight, and that's on one level. That's saying we're not going to mix these funds. Listen, the Far West funds were gone within 6 months after the Kickstarter finished. Allegedly.
Gareth had to buy so many coffins for so many dead relatives. I mean, he must have lost half his family in the all his pets.
There was all these hospitalizations and dead pets.
His pets all died. Yeah, all his
pets. But the thing is, here's the thing. And if I ever did Ben has spoken about offering Kickstarter advice. If I did Kickstarter advice, it wouldn't be so much what to do as opposed to what not to do. Don't mingle your Kickstarter fund with your private accounts.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. You need separate bank accounts made up.
Because the reason is this, especially if your Kickstarter starts running long. Think about it. If you're loaned money, all right, and somebody gives you $20, and now 6 months later they're asking for it back, you kind of feel like, wait, I'm going to give you $20 of my own money because that money has long been spent, and you might have forgotten that you even loaned it. Yeah. It's intermingled, right? So say the Kickstarter's like that too. Like, well, yeah, well, you guys, that $49,000 was long spent on Far West. Now it's my money that I have to use to complete this project. How can that happen when I still got to live? And when you intermingle the money, that's the problem. Am I saying for sure that's what happened? Gareth himself was talking about health expenditures and how that was affecting his ability to complete the project. If you're saying that you're spending money on health issues, I mean, if you can't fulfill a project, it means you've spent the money on stuff other than the project. That is probably the easiest way to screw something up. And again, Ernie and Benoit, huge tip of my metaphysical hat to the both of you, because the only reason Troll Lord Games can come in and literally say, wow, this project could be done if it just had project management. And we could do that, and it's not going to cost us a shit ton of money. And we can publish it with the money that's already there in the account, sitting and waiting. Well, you know what? That's a win-win.
Yeah, I think I just got an update on that Moral Tomb. I think just this week or last week.
I also want to jump in and verbally thank Bob and David for backing the Kickstarter. I saw you guys pledges come up, so thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. You guys.
Well, yeah. And not for nothing, man. You are out of the gate. Your Kickstarter is doing very well. You're trending very nicely.
We set records. Yeah, this is the best one. This beat the shit out of the solo mod. The solo modules are highest at 1,300-ish backers, and then 36,000-ish raised. I don't know. This might beat it because it beat it out of the gate really hard. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's really cool. What I like to do with our stretch goals is we offer essentially just like more content in the book as opposed to like buying extra shit, which is like totally fine to like have supplement books or source books, but that doesn't make sense for this book. So we're just going to do like more tables, more art, stuff like that. And that way our team makes more money. Like Dimitri is getting commissioned 20 more art pieces just from stretch goals so far. So if you factor his rate in, that's a shit ton of money. So yeah, it's it's really appreciated.
And again, I'm a huge supporter of Kickstarters. As much as I bitch about the bad actors, I bitch about the bad actors, but I also highlight all the good actors. When you look at my blog, I am highlighting Kickstarters constantly. Why? Because, and I hate when people go, well, big companies shouldn't be using Kickstarter. Companies like Frog God and Goodman, that's not what Kickstarter is about. Well, it's exactly what Kickstarter is about, because unless you're the size of Wizards of the Coast, which at this point could use Hasbro's own crowdfunding platform, Kickstarter is about production of physical products that is going to sell. And the best, nobody has an accurate way of doing a survey of how much are we actually going to sell of our latest product at this level of the hobby without doing a Kickstarter. Kickstarter tells you, all right, well, I'm going to sell 1,000 via the quote Kickstarter pre-order, and I could probably do another 400, 500 in the next year. So maybe I will order 1,750 and not be sitting on shit in my warehouse for fucking years. And
or like spare bedrooms. Like that's the Pacesetter warehouse. Yeah. This is the Pace quarters, my townhouse in Florida. Like if you go, there's rooms back there that are just housing Pacesetter shit. Like Path of the Vanished, one of our other campaigns is arriving today, and I'm like, I'm already outgrown my warehouse. Damn it!
I mean, seriously, that is what Kickstarter allows companies like Frog God, like Goodman Games, and like Trollord to publish stuff in the numbers that are not going to risk breaking the one project that you overbuy on can damn your company if you don't plan your budget properly and if you overbuy, and Kickstarter prevents that from happening. So
it also genuinely like just adds to the product in the right Kickstarters add to the product in the proper ways of things that you maybe initially couldn't do with the product at its like original phase, but at the end of a Kickstarter, you can, like, you add content. I added an alternate ending to my solo book because, I mean, it would have been tough to do it without a Kickstarter because it adds art, it adds maps, it adds page count, and then people don't think about the page count. It adds editing costs, it adds layout costs, and then it adds printing costs. So like, I mean, there's so many layers of things that because the Kickstarter was so successful, there's an alternate ending, which is perfect because then you can play it over more times and still have a different experience. So yeah, I mean, there's so many good things about Kickstarters, even for big companies, that it just makes sense. And who's going to throw away, like, you run a business and you tell me you're going to decline security for the unknown. You're going to take security every goddamn time. So yeah, people use Kickstarter for creative and business reasons, and you can't fault them for either.
No, and I mean, I'm very thankful that we no longer have the I don't know, the old West land drive going on where it's like, free for all, just have an idea and I had this great idea for a Western with mythical elements. I'm going to call it Far West because it's kind of like
and have nothing. Yeah, nothing's written. Yeah, and we talk about that a lot. How the old days of Kickstarter, where I had a great idea and you got $45,000 for it, those are way long gone. You better have your writing done. You better have the artwork at least enough to show people. You better have a track record. You can't just throw that out anymore. You can't do the Mike Nistel, center stage miniature. I mean, all the people like that just said, "Hey, I got this great idea. Nothing's done yet, but it's it'll definitely be done." And people are willing to send you money, and people have been bitten. They're once bitten, twice shy, big time. People, everybody's probably had one. I mean, what Men in Myth and Magic? I mean, just count them down. How many Kickstarters were funded that were never done, and then when push came to shove, the people were like, "Oh, I don't really know how to do a Kickstarter. I have no clue what I'm doing here. I had a great idea. I had this awesome idea, or like Mike Nistel, I have a great idea. Well, you know what? I made all this money. I'm going to form my own company," which that's not what you were given the money to do. You were given the money to do 3 Kickstarters, not fund your own company, which, by the way, went belly up in less than a year because God knows what you spent that money on.
Nice Tools Castle. Let me do this on Indiegogo so I can bilk people from another way of funding. I was like,
or then you had the kind of the center stage thing where they basically it was a Ponzi scheme. It was like, okay, well, I didn't make enough money on my first Kickstarter, so the second Kickstarter is going to pay for the first Kickstarter. Well, now I need a third Kickstarter to pay for the second Kickstarter. I mean, it just kept going until eventually it's just your house of cards is going to crash. And luckily, Kickstarter has cracked down. And as we saw with what's his name, they're willing to throw one of their own to the wolves to to show that, well, we have integrity now of a sort.
I mean, listen, I've never had a product up on Kickstarter. I probably never will. So I will say I don't know if Kickstarter has integrity. I know that they break their rules when it's convenient to them, but maybe without having Luke Crane in a position of authority there, maybe that rules breaking will happen less. I don't know. It's just that they don't have a great history when it comes to following rules that they themselves have.
They're making too much money. I mean, it's like anything. They're making too much money to stop the gravy train. Why on earth would they stop the? It's like eBay. eBay for almost decades was incentivized not to stop bad actors. Why? Well, because even people that offered crappy product got billed every month for the eBay bill. So they were making money whether or not the customer was happy or not. They were making money. They were making money whether or not the seller was happy. They were just making money. Now, in the last few years, they've had to shore it up a little bit because there's a lot of other platforms. For a long time, for like 98 through, I don't know, probably just a few years ago, eBay was the only game in town, so that they could afford to treat you very cavalierly. And one of their CEOs, he's very famous for basically, saying that our people are garbage. We think most people that deal with eBay are garbage people. You know, we're here because we want the big companies to come in. We want them to, you know, sell stuff here, and we don't care about the mom and pop garage sale shit. We want the big numbers, and so that they very openly mock their customers. You know, I think they've come back around to where they're not quite as bad anymore. But yeah, if you're making money, you're incentivized not to care about where that money came from or how you get that money. And for a long time, Kickstarter was making money whether or not you were happy or not. I mean, Kickstarter was making money whether you got anything or not. They didn't care. That wasn't their job. They tell you right up front. That's in the terms of service. You know, that this is not a guarantee of anything. You know, you're just giving money for an idea. If it doesn't happen, tough noogies. I mean, that's not our problem.
So yeah,
I mean, you sue yourself. You go to if you feel like you got a raw deal, you go to your own attorney general in your state, and which has happened a few times. There's been a few people sued.
That happened with Gareth. That was one of his excuses for the delays. I'm dealing with the attorney general of Kansas because of complaints. So it's your own fault that things have to be delayed.
Well, Cthulhu, the big one I remember was Cthulhuopoly, which is Monopoly with Cthulhu. I guess a guy had figured out, you know, I'm going to mix Cthulhu with Monopoly. It sold quite a bit, and then he literally just took the money and did not do one single thing. He had a great idea. He had no plans to ever fulfill this. He knew by Kickstarter's terms of service that he was going to get away with it. Well, he was one of the few that were actually contacted and sued by the attorney general because there was absolutely. I mean, if you even act like you kind of want to put it out, most times legal people will not touch you because you know, right. And that's why for years Gareth keeps telling us that Far West around the corner because he knows as long as he says that nobody can touch him because he can always say, "Oh, I'm still working on it." It's when you come right out and say, "Yeah, not only am I not working on it, I'm just never going to come out." That's when they can finally say, "Okay, you have no intent of ever publishing this." And that Cthulhuopoly guy was one of the few people that actually got, you know, raked over the coals by the attorney general of, I think it was Washington State, because it was clear he had absolutely zero. Even the guy he was working with said, "Yeah, I never got plans from him. I never got rules from him. I never got anything from him. He just had this great idea, Cthulhuopoly, threw it up there, and then just took the money and said, 'Thank you very much.'"
Take the money and run. Ooh, ooh, ooh. But again,
that kind of shit just hurts everyone. Like I was talking to guys about Chris. I was talking with Chris Haskins yesterday. What is today? Wednesday? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was talking with him the other day about. I was on his live stream on the Nord channel. We were talking about Kickstarter and like when people don't deliver, that pisses off creators just as much as it pisses off consumers because that hurts the trust within the community. And even if it has nothing to do with you, it still just rubs people the wrong way. And then they might go into one of your campaigns like, "Oh, I hope this isn't like that." And it's like, I don't even know who those people are, man. I've never heard of their name. Like,
and I've seen it. And again,
like, go look at our other campaigns. They're all good, man. They're all delivered. Like, we're rolling.
For almost 500 Kickstarters backed. Looking over my shoulder as I say that. Yep, she's not there. Okay. Nearly 500 Kickstarters backed. I'm still actively backing Kickstarters. Yeah. I'm still calling out the bad actors. But obviously, I have a faith in the system. But I do certainly do my own vetting. I look, okay, has this creator created anything prior? If not, I'm not going to be in for a high amount. If they do have a record and they've completed, all right, maybe I put my faith into this. That's the whole thing. You've got to do some vetting. I usually before I highlight a Kickstarter, I've done some basic vetting. Even if it's just I know the publisher, I know the people behind it, I have faith in them. That's my vetting. Yeah. But I hate to say it, I've seen cool Kickstarters that go, "Yeah, it ain't gonna happen." It's like I love the idea, but there's no background on that.
I know Frank Menser ran into that problem with his big Kickstarter, which should have been a huge hit. And honestly, I still to this day say 5 years earlier it would have made half a quarter of a million.
3 years.
I think that's what
3 years easily.
Because it was everything that fans at the time wanted to see, but by the time it came out, Frank had to admit I haven't written any of it, and there's no artwork, and I don't have anybody under contract. So people are like, well, so we can't do it anymore. I mean, it used to be, that we don't care. Great idea, man. It's an awesome idea. And by the time Frank decided to do it, it was too late. I mean, that window opportunity had passed.
I'm glad, honestly, like looking back at it, I'm really glad that it didn't fund, because it would have been bad. You know, Frank is in like tough situations for other reasons, but this wouldn't have helped. And I publicly said it. He was one of my mentors, so it's hard for me to kind of shit on him too much, but for Frank, look, Frank was a great ambassador to the hobby at one point. I mean, I still like the guy. Yeah. He just had. You're right, Ben. He's had a really tough last few years. He's had blunders,
His last few years have not been well, and he's had some issues, and it's just unfortunately, it's tarnished his legacy. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you.
I think he needs a PR person. Like, I almost I don't want it to be me, but I think
you don't want to be you.
I know, but I remember the first like I said, it's what happened, but it's tough, because when I went to go do my first book, I had examples of it at NCX 2019. Right. 2018. My bad. I keep saying 2019 for some reason. 2018.
Stop it.
And
2020 never happened. So
I showed stuff to him, and I was like, "What do you think about this?" And he's like, "Well, it's good, but what about this?" He's like, "How thick are the walls?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, how thick are the walls? Like, they're standard walls?" And he's like, "No. I have a sledgehammer, and I'm going to go through the wall instead of the door." And I was like, "Oh, damn! I guess I do have to think about those things and put them in the book." So, right. There's no saying what it would have been kick ass, but I'm glad that it didn't happen, because I think he would have been in a hole. So
he was a great ambassador to the hobby. He had a rough few years, and he just has not. He didn't come. He didn't make a comeback, and unfortunately, he's kind of. I don't know if his legacy's tarnished forever. If he can, maybe he can make a comeback. I don't know.
He'll always be popular in Italy. But,
I love him overseas, man. They love him overseas. But
here's the thing with the Empire Kickstarter. Once that got announced, I was reached out to by multiple individuals that were involved in the project, and they were giving me their concerns of what was going on. I got a little behind the scenes view, so it was not pretty. Like I said, nobody was willing to sign on. Everybody who was named in it was named contingent to funding. Nobody was going to give artwork for a project that was not guaranteed to fund, and they weren't being given a stipend or a down payment or anything. It was all based upon goodwill to Frank. And it's like, I'll put my name to the project, but I'm not going to. If we fund, I'll be part of it. But until we fund, I'm not giving anything up. And that is pretty much what damned the project, and it wouldn't have damned it maybe even 2 years prior announced, but in the time frame where it was, it's the post Ken Whitman world, it's the post City State Invincible Overlord world, it's where all these huge projects that funded, and Frank was looking at $250,000. The money to put down that you have no sample.
I remember where I was when I saw that Kickstarter launched. I was at school waiting in the Chick-fil-A line on my lunch break at university, and I got a notification on my phone that maybe I was scrolling Facebook, and then it was like, "Hey, this is live now," and I click on it because I was like, I couldn't wait to back it. Like, having Frank's World, like, I idolized him as growing up in the hobby. The first thing I ever bought was a red box, and I had it signed by him that same day. So I saw it go live, and my mouth hit the damn floor when I saw $250,000.
You can say fucking floor. You can.
Yeah.
I'm a potty mouth cop.
Yeah, I got Disney to think about long term.
All right.
Yeah, but say your dad's in bed now. He's asleep. He's old.
My mouth hit the floor. I was like, what the hell? Like, even if that's the goal, there's no way you need that kind of money to produce a book like that. Even anyway, like, and even if you have like Ed Greenwood writing for you, like, no, there's no way you need $250,000 to pull off something like that. I could do it with 10, even less. Yeah. Like, it's possible, and still have the great quality. You just have to have the right team. And everyone win and never. I don't
it
know.
showed a lack of knowledge of the Kickstarter process, because what it should have been is it should have been at most a goal of 50, probably closer to 25, and have the stretch goals bring you to that huge number that you want. But the eyes were bigger than the plate that was going to be filled. And I mean, I wanted it to come to fruition. It just
for somebody
impossible.
that's just,
I need to step away from 2 seconds. I gotta.
Yeah.
My mom's staying with me this weekend, so I gotta go open the door for her. I'll be right back.
Oh no, leave her outside.
My whole family's coming down. I'll explain it later.
All right. For somebody who's as smart as Frank is, to show such a that's what gets me about that whole situation, because he showed such a lack of knowledge of the whole Kickstarter way it works. Yeah. And he's not a dumb guy. He's a smart dude. All I can think is it was just hubris that he thought that I'm just going to fund this because of me. And the problem is, he hasn't worked for TSR, and he hadn't worked at the time, 30 years.
Right.
And so the fact that you're going to fund on your name alone just wasn't going to happen. And I feel bad for him, because I just could see a lot of really rookie missteps being made during that whole announcement, and the way he approached people questioning him, because, people were questioning about it and he was attacking them pretty much. I mean, saying, hey, I have a track record of getting things done. Yeah. 1986, you don't have a track record in the last, few decades.
Well, so the Forest of Doom, right, or whatever it was, the
whole thing that was a kind of a fiasco too. The Eldritch Enterprises stuff, yes. And that was they only had a few releases, and I don't think that was really overly successful in any way, shape, or form. So no, you didn't really have a body of work that could cause you to ask for $250,000.
No.
Hey Ben, is your hot sister showing up too, or is just your mom? Or
I will leave this call so fast. You fucking creep. You fucking creep. That's not even funny. Oh my god.
Just call him.
Wow.
Stop. Oh.
Wow, that's not even funny, man.
That was
that's
a call.
weird.
That was a call back to.
I know, and it was
years
weird
ago.
then.
Oh god.
I know, and it was weird
when
then.
you're asking everybody your favorite ice cream, and I
can't wait to cancel you for that in like 2 years.
I threw you a curveball.
Man, do you know how many followers I have on TikTok? I could bury you.
The look on your face when I said that to you was like.
I'm joking.
It was between I'm gonna kill you, or I'm gonna destroy you, or I'm gonna do both at the same time. It was hilarious. That was funny. I about died.
It was funny for one of the parties involved. I'm gonna say that for the record.
Look, I would have never said it if your sister wasn't 100% legal. I would have never said that. And your sister is beautiful, so I'm just telling you.
You're like 80, so watch what you're saying, man.
80? What do you think? I was born in 1920? I mean, come on,
dude,
God.
Come on, don't say that. Don't say that. We step into a ring, and you're not going to like what's
wow. I think we found it. We found this soft spot here.
Soft spot? No one likes. I'm joking about the boxing thing, but seriously, like that's not that fun.
He does love his family. He does love his family.
And it's good because it's a gaming family, so we love them too.
No,
if you want a soft spot, just go for the hair, Mike. Because
I was gonna.
Then again, we can't. I'm going gray. You're thinning out, and Ben's got at least another 20 years.
Ben served me a softball there because his family's coming to town. It was a softball right over the plate, and I'm supposed to just sit there and watch it go right in the catcher's mitt and not do anything. Come on, man. You know me better than that.
Your father wants to cancel Bad Mike.
Oh no, yeah. Oh, I got Dad mad, so I'm in trouble now. Your dad's
that
probably
was me.
Mad. Oh, I'm about to say. I probably got your dad mad, and your dad's an ex.
I think it was your father popping up. You're right.
He's an ex-Ranger. He'll have me I'll just disappear one day. It'll be a talking crit with Tenkar and somebody else. Somebody not Bad Mike. They'll never find the body. Oh,
what happened to Glazer and Skeeter show? Is that still a thing? They're going to replace you guys.
I don't know.
No, they can't replace.
They're not going to replace us.
They can't replace us, man. They don't replace us.
They can't. They don't have a schedule. They can't replace us without a schedule. They go on whenever Skeeter's. I don't know. Whenever he feels like going on. Whenever Zach gets his bipolar. Whenever Zach's not taking pictures of food, they decide, let's do a show this week. I mean, those guys. They don't know a schedule if it bit them in the ass. So.
Oh, I'm going to ask you while we're live on air now, so you can't say no. Are you running games at NTX?
Oh, well, that's actually a great question, man. Seriously, because I'm actually not, and I think I talked about this with Eric, but I'm not sure.
What the hell?
So here's the deal. Because I've run games every year. Started the second year. The first year I didn't run anything, but the second year on, I ran B1. I ran B1 every year. My favorite module ever.
Yeah.
I always run B1. Last year I didn't run B1. I ran a Highfell adventure. And we had a great time. It was my regular group that goes through Highfell. We had people sign up, and they rolled up first level characters, and they ran hirelings, and they had a blast. We had James Shields, we had Chris Dodgel, we had a few others, and they had a great blast. And they all pretty much died at the end because the higher level characters sent them into every room. And so you need to explore everything. And of course, at the end, they find a deck of many things, and well, we all know what happened after that. So, anyway. This year came around, and Doug keeps asking me if I'm going to run a game, and I just start, I have not seen any of these people in 2 years, and I wanted to give myself time just to hang out because I've been running games in the convention every year. I've been going to like 5 or 6 conventions every year. We go to GaryCon every year. We go to Gamehole, go to ReaperCon. I've been to ReaperCon. I've been to LongCon. And I've been to all these conventions, and yet because of COVID, we were like cold turkey for a year and a half. I didn't get to see all these people, and I just really like hanging out with people. Eric and I do the same thing. We go to conventions to hang out with people. I mean, if we run a game, great. If we play a game, great. But we're really just there to say hi and hang out and just schmooze, with our friends. And I just thought, every year for the past 12 years. I've penciled in Thursday night as from 6 to midnight. I can't ever do anything. And I miss everybody. I want to see everybody. I'm going to be busy. Eric and I are going to do the show Wednesday night. So we'll be busy doing it then. And then.
Oh, special guest. You're welcome.
Okay. But then Thursday night, I mean, I thought about it. And I thought, I'm going to take a year off. I'm going to hang out with people. Once I'm heartily sick of hanging out with these idiots again, then I'll be running games again. But I just want to take a year off and just say hi to everybody. I mean, there's so many people that I haven't seen, and I'm used to seeing Eric every 2 or 3 times a year. I'm used to seeing you 2 or 3 times a year. I mean,
yeah,
right. And we haven't had that.
There's so many other people like that. The only person. No, we haven't had that at all, and I would like just to spend Thursday, Friday. I mean, of course, Saturday there's the auction, and then the midnight auction. So I'll be busy all day Saturday. So I like to spend more than just Friday night, saying hi to everybody. I'm going to spend Thursday and Friday night. So
Are you guys?
Yeah. So many cons left time to socialize. Yeah, I agree exactly. What
your family is calling you.
I don't want to
cancel Bad Mike. That was you. Oh, that was you. Okay. What? Everybody cancel Bad Mike? Hey, come on, man.
Let's
take it down. Let's take it down.
I don't know if you can answer this, but is someone getting roasted this year? I hope so. I hope you guys have
nobody. This year. So the year we roasted Ben was one of the best ever.
Give me a second. Keep going.
The year we roasted Ben was one of the best ever. I mean, it was hilarious because the people who we roast never know what's going to happen, and it happens. And we roasted Ben, and it was classic. Absolutely classic. Now, Alex Cameron was pretty good, too. Oh, my God. You still have the bag?
It's all still together in its original packaging.
Do you still have your journal? The journal that you wrote? That was the best part, the journal. Yeah, the Disney Princess journal that I made up. So every year we say that we find something that somebody left behind, and so I said that we found this left behind. Of course, it was a dig at Ben because it was all Disney stuff.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. When you fuckers nailed me, man, I was just like, wait a second, I'm bidding for this thing. I'm looking at my wallet going, I don't have the money to bid on this shit.
Well, thank goodness Ben jumped up and spent way too much money on that to buy it. We appreciate that, Ben. But yeah, we did Alex that year. That was pretty good too with the top.
Yeah, I'm pissed. I didn't know Alex spent that much. I would have tried to match him, but man.
No, you spent way more, dude. We didn't mean for you to go broke buying your bag.
You think I went broke off of that? Man, come on, dude.
Whoa, hey, you're making a lot more money than I thought then, bro. No, but this year we got to go.
That Disney money.
I'm a student and I work in the tabletop gaming industry.
Let's just say that Zach called me at 10:30 the other night, laughing so hard he couldn't breathe, and he told me And I started laughing. So we have some good ones for this year for who we have set up. We have enough that we were both laughing so hard we couldn't breathe for about 15 minutes, throwing back lines back and forth that we're like, oh, we got to use this. We got to use this. So yeah, we got a good one this year. It's going to be fun for the midnight auction. So
Danger, Will Robinson.
If your dad lets you stay up that late, Ben, then I hope to see you there.
Shut up. See, the part about like that part of the auction is like, it was so fun being on like the butt end of that, but now it sucks because I'm like never gonna be able to be like that again.
Yeah, so but now you take joy out of seeing other people be at the butt end.
Right.
No, but it's fun. This one's on you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that's
when
true.
a show is about you, that's when I.
Well, we did a good job on you. Yours was funny. Yours was great because you were so when you roast somebody, they have to have larger than life qualities that makes it easier to roast. With Tenkar, it's the fact that he's just Tenkar. With with Alex, it was the tacos. Obviously, he's taco guy. Yeah. And with you, it was Disney. And so Disney was the big thing. So it was so easy to flow from there and to think of some funny jokes that you have to find that larger than life people. Well, after a while, you start running out of larger than life people, and you're like, well, who we're going to do now? We have to do somebody that and you think about it, you can't just do anybody.
Right?
Like, well, that guy, if you did that guy, that'd be boring. And also, you want to get a reaction. You want somebody that when you do them, they're going to have the right reaction. Which is why we never do Skeeter Green, because Skeeter Green would get mad and stomp out because he's a big baby, so we can't do Skeeter.
Love you, Skeeter. Long time. Don't me.
I'd love to do Zach. I'd love to do Zach again because Zach is definitely larger than life. The problem is Zach helps me so much thinking of the funny stuff to do, and he buys a lot of the stuff that I can't roast Zach ever again because he just helps. He's too much of a partner now, my partner in crime roasting people. So we'll have a good one this year. The midnight auction will be fun. It was so tough missing it last year. I mean, we had midnight auction last year. My brother did show up in a Speedo with a banana stuck in it. So if you were unlucky enough to see that we actually did broadcast it, but no, this will be the return to the form, and I think this is going to be our first official year in the ballroom. We had the ballroom last year. Nobody was there, though. But this year, I think we're going to do the ballroom again because social distancing, we don't want everybody crammed into that little auction hall. So we want everybody to be able to spread out and have a good time. So, but you were one of the – just think about it, though, Ben. You were one of the brave – lonely few that have had your life on display for all the other gamers, and you came through unscathed. So,
I still want the damn video of that. I think Brian recorded it.
Yeah,
I'm like 99% sure with one of the convention cameras.
I'm pretty sure he did, but boy.
Because usually people don't record in there because it's kind of like So
we discouraged recording because there's some things that go on in there that are 18 and older, and that may not only that, but that might get you kicked out of the industry. If it gets out. Well, actually, what am I saying? It'll get me kicked out of the industry because I'm the one doing all the damage up there. But yes, I think Doug has recorded a lot of stuff over the years that I don't know where it's at. I was just talking the other night. I was on Mike and Liz. Oh, I was on Mike and Liz's show this weekend, Eric.
Nice.
Yeah, I talked about NTRPG Con, and Jim Wampler was there. Corbett was there. So yeah, safer half. And I said that because they said we would really love it if there was a filming of your B1 game. And you know what? I said there is one, because if you look on YouTube and put in Mike's B1 game or B1 North Texas, you will find a game that we ran. I think Liz is in it, Glenn's in it. So yes, we did keep some of the tapes, but I don't know where that one would be, Ben. I'll have to ask Doug if he knows where that would be.
Yeah, I'm going to talk Brian about it this year if he's there. But
we've taped a lot of stuff over the years, so I don't know where it's at.
Another side note, just kind of talking about NTX because we're going there soon. I think I'm going to buy some golden tickets. I think I'm going to. I've never bought them, but
golden tickets are fun because that eliminates any need for you to have to plan anything, because you're just cock of the walk. Then you just take your golden ticket and boom, I'm getting into your game. I'm getting into your game.
Thanks, Biden. And my stimulus check is going.
There you go. Thanks for my stimmy. I'm getting into your game, even though it's full, and you just walk into wherever. So that's the cool thing about golden tickets. We've sold more golden tickets this year than any year because people are starting to realize what a good deal that is. I mean, it's kind of pricey. but the ability not to have to plan is great. You don't have to plan anything. You just walk with your golden ticket.
I don't want to abuse, like, if I'm being like, not like, a lot of people, I think if I asked them, they would let me in no matter what, especially like my friends who are running games. Like, I know I would never say no to a friend who wanted to play, but it feels scummy. Like, I'd rather support the convention, I think.
That was my problem with running the B1 game is I would plan for 8 and I'd show up and have to have 12 because so many people would ask me to show up and I couldn't say no, and so. But
even then, like, I don't want to make it an odd number. Like I really want to play in Alan Hammock's Ghost Tower adventure, but there's 6 people. I don't want to like be the awkward 7th. That feels weird too.
You'll be fine. No. We've told everybody. We let them know that one of the things you have to think about is if somebody uses a golden ticket to get in your game, you have to be prepared, because there's some people that say, look, there's only 6 people in my, because sometimes like Errol Otis, when he runs a game, he only has 6 people. That's all he has. He doesn't want any more. And so he doesn't have golden ticket because it's like, okay, he has all the pre-gens, he hands them out. That's it. There's no more. But most everybody else, we tell them, look, just be ready in case a golden ticket guy comes in. And it's a real honor to a lot of these guys think it's an honor for somebody to use a golden ticket to get in their game. They're like, this is so cool, And so I think we actually had somebody already say that, like, wow, somebody wanted to use a golden ticket to get in my game, I'd be very honored. So.
Yeah, I think I would shit my pants if someone asked me. I'd be like, "Are you sure?
Hey,
I don't think you have the right table. I think you're looking for Bill Barsh, not Ben Barsh."
Hey, I think all you had to do was just ask. I would have said yes. I mean, at conventions, I usually just take walk-ups because I'm not Matt Finch. I can't do 24 people. But I can.
Ben, I'm going to tell you right now, Ben. That's just between me and you, bro. Because I feel like I'm kind of one of your mentors too.
I'm getting skeptical already. You're not even into the sentence yet, and I'm already scared.
Your dad's so over.
Let me qualify this.
Your dad's over. I mean, it's all about the hair now. It's about Ben. It's about the young new thing. So don't. I understand you got to give the old man props, great. But it's about you now, bro. I mean, don't.
Well, hey, man,
if
I win 3 castles with my solo adventure, I think then I don't even think I'm going to submit. I don't know if I'm going to.
Oh, dude, no, you got to. Well, hopefully you're definitely going to submit this because we're not going to have a 3 castles award this year.
Right, it'll be for next year anyway because the book is coming out next month, so it wouldn't.
We rolled everything over, and you're able to. You're able to submit at least 2 entries. So, for instance, I think Levi is going to. He had submitted one already, and I think he's going to do another since he's got something else coming out too. So, just submit it because you never know. I will tell you what. I am always surprised. I think there's maybe one that I ever predicted, 1 or 2 that I ever predicted, and ever since then I'm like, whoa. I just can't. Though that would win, but sometimes the guys that are judging look for different things than I think about. They're looking for. I mean, if you have an artist, maybe he's looking for layout. If you have a really good writer, he's looking for the way the plot came together. And sometimes people don't vote the way you would think either. I know I had.
I don't think I'll win. I don't think I'll ever win because my stuff has a very almost like I don't know, like I'm creating my own world, which I'm very confident and secure in. Like everything that I do is a world build. Like I'm planning for like 20 years from now when I have like all these source books for my campaign world that I can put out. So I don't know. Who knows if the judges will like my style as opposed to what they grew up with. So because I'm in such a different age that it's like it's not even close to everyone.
The last 3 winners have been Victorious, which is a Victorian.
I also don't care about awards at all. So.
Well, the last 3 winners: Victorious, a superhero game, a Call of Cthulhu adventure, and a top secret adventure. I mean, it's all over the place. You just never know. Yeah. You just never know. And before that, it was Greg Gillespie's Forbidden Cavern. So it's just you never know. You just never know. You never know what particular judges are looking for that year. So I would say definitely submit your stuff because it's good. It's good stuff. And you should. If nothing else. The great part about it is nothing else you can put submitted for finalists for 3 Cast Award. And one of the funniest things I think about Doug is so oblivious to anything in the world is that when we first started the Three Casts Award, he thought that we should not announce anything but the winner. I'm like, why? He said, well, because all those guys that are just nominated, they're going to be really upset when they don't win. They don't want their name associated with it. I was like, do you understand how things work? Like, they want to be able to say they were nominated. He goes, oh, well, not me. I'm either first place or I'm nothing. Well, that's his worldview. He thinks you're a winner or you're nothing. I
think that way too, though, because BXRPG was a runner-up last year, and I'm like, fuck, that sucks.
But you're able to tell people it was still nominated for the Three Casts Award, and then
I leave it out. I don't like second.
Oh wow, okay. Well, you and Doug will get along perfectly then.
I don't like second because I grew up with participation trophies, and I fucking hated them. Why are you giving me a piece of
because
hardware
but it's not a participation trophy. It's if you're nominated for the Cast Award. It's
there's no trophy, so it's just participation.
Yeah, exactly. You're just participation. You're just getting an attaboy. It's great. You're getting your attaboy for being accepted. So don't.
Who knows? And the problem with it too is it's for 3 different editions, so I don't know which one I would submit.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I would want to submit the 5e one because like that's the brainchild for it, but I don't know.
Alex Kamer swears there's 5e bias because he submitted his 5e adventure and it didn't win, and he got really upset. And
it's an old school award. There's no way I'm going to win with 5th
part
edition.
of it, but I don't think 5th edition, with the last couple of years, Top Secret winning and Call of Cthulhu and then Victorious, I don't think we're running into that as much.
5e D&D is a different.
Care about it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these
it
older
is a different
guys,
connotation. I don't think that'll fly, but.
I don't know. I think you'd be surprised. I think 5e is going to be accepted in that group pretty soon. I mean,
honestly,
a lot of our judges have changed too.
If I do send it in, I'll probably submit all 3, and just because you have to give the copies or whatever. I know it'll suck to shell out that many copies, but I think I'd rather do that.
Ben, my wife must be listening because she just wanted you to know because my wife loves you. She thinks you're awesome. All stars always advertise Oscar nominee. So there you go.
There you go.
I mean,
not the hair. The hair, no. Win or go home, right? That's it.
No.
Yeah, but the professor my professor I had last month, she won an Emmy for casting. She was in Hollywood for like 15 years.
Wow.
And her and I had that same mentality. She was like, I don't even like talking about the Emmy because I feel like it's like flexing. And I'm like, no, you won an Emmy award. Like that's top of the crop. That's top of the crop, period. Like that's
right.
Is she hot? Is she hot? Is there like a student teacher thing going on here? We need to
what is with you and curvy things? God, you are next on the list to be canceled. No,
I should have already been canceled. I should have been canceled a long time ago.
She's a fantastic mentor.
Oh, okay.
That's not what I mean, dude. Stop.
All right.
High five.
By that same account.
High five. Yes.
By that same account, like you're gonna say that about like Matt Finch and Bill Webb, and like stop.
Matt Finch is he's a cute guy.
Good looking dude. Yeah,
he is good looking dude. Bill's not my type, a little too boozy, but Matt smokes though, so I'm not sure about that either.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Forgot about that. There's things you forget about not going to conventions.
Yeah.
Damn.
But I will be excited to see you in North Texas, you and your dad, and I'm very excited about this Kickstarter. It looks great, and I wish I had it right now because I could use it next Saturday we game, or actually next Saturday after that.
Yeah.
Because I'm always looking for random roll stuff. So yeah, good luck on that. I think that's going to do really well. It's already funded, as we said. It's called Endless
Encounters.
Endless Encounters. Yeah. I'm sorry, I was laughing too hard. I already lost it. I've already lost it too many times. I love getting Ben all frustrated because he just gets all cute and his like little color gets in his cheeks. And he's just so.
I'm gonna dislike the live stream. I'm gonna dislike the live stream and give you bad ratings. Tenkar's Tavern is gonna have the mob at it tomorrow.
And listen, at least I'm drinking my hop tea, so I'm going non-alcoholic. I think
what now? I thought you were from New York, not California. What are you drinking?
Hop tea.
You haven't heard this yet?
No, dude, it's really. Listen, I had my beer with lunch.
It's really good.
I had 4 pints with lunch, so now I'm having hop tea because listen. Type 2 diabetic, just of heart failure. I can't be like the fucking borderline abuser of alcohol that I was before. So you have to substitute for stuff that
I would never alcohol shame. I hardly even drink, so I don't even know what half the shit is. So
that's okay. That's like when I got stopped for underage drinking. It's like, yeah, I'll have a beer. What kind of beer?
That one.
Yeah. What he's got. And then the state troopers came in and raided the place because everybody was underage drinking.
Oh boy!
But thankfully, my friend that I was with, who I think was maybe just legal, was an MP in Alaska. Came back, on leave. So he's like, he tins himself, shows his ID and his shield. It's like, oh, all right, yeah, just get out of here. So I start walking with him. He's like, where's he going? Oh, he's with me. We work together. I'm like, oh, all right. I was like, holy shit. I was like 17. I was like, oh my God. So.
Yeah, I never had a sip of alcohol before I was 21.
Your father was a
You guys believe me?
Listen, I'll be the first to admit that when my son started hitting his teen years and hanging out with the high school friends, I was like, dude, listen. If you want to have a beer, it's in the fridge. I actually buy legitimate craft beer. If your friends want you to drink that horrible schwill that they're going to probably buy for a kegger party, I go, let me explain to you. Your excuse is going to be, if I want to drink beer, I'll drink the real shit at home.
That's a good one.
I go, and that's it. And I was like, I'd rather that option. I go, and God forbid you do happen. Obviously, call me. Never happened. You never got into that. But were the times I come home from a late night at work and go, thought I had a beer left. What the? Oh, all right. I can't get mad. I told him, son of a bitch.
You,
all right.
You drew the line. He was abiding.
Yes. So, wow, dude, I got to say, man, it's a lot of fun with you. Because
that scared the shit out of me. What was? Sorry, my mom just had to go get something from my closet. That scared me. Oh my God!
You have a ghost. You have a whittler in your in your closet.
Oh, not the whittler.
God.
Are you?
Someone said a funny comment about that earlier. Something about like whittling.
Are you giving her she has a bed to sleep in, right? You're not making her sleep on the floor in a futon.
Yeah, I have a guest bedroom.
Okay, good.
All right, so you're legit.
All right.
But this time was fun. It's gonna be a great con. I'm not running anything at the con either. I'm not registered for anything yet. I plan on doing probably pickup gaming and what table needs a player. I'll just jump in because again I'm gonna be there to socialize. That is why I'm going to North Texas. I want to thank, by the way, our subscribers. We hit 387 today.
Nice.
So it's been showing a nice increase. This month has been sweet, folks. I'd love to hit 400 before the end of the month. I'd like to hit 500 before North Texas. So if you all can get the word out, it'd be great. Oh, and if we hit 500, we're giving away drive-through RPG gift certificates worth total $500.
Ooh, nice.
So yes. I mean, we have to hit the 500. Don't give me shit until we hit there. Huge thanks again to Ben. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. And good luck on the Kickstarter, definitely.
Much appreciated.
Yep. None of us are medical professionals, so I'm going to do my normal quick COVID speech. Use your common sense. All right? If you're not healthy, you can't keep others healthy or help others that need. Use your common sense. All right? Please. You wouldn't throw a fireball into a 10 by 10 room because common sense tells you about the blowback, or so you would tell me after you already threw it. So let's use that common sense proactively. Be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. And I shall be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is a Thursday. So if you're on the Tenkar Tavern Discord server at 9 p.m. Eastern, we hang out for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Talk to shit. Everybody's welcome to talk or lurk, whatever you want to do.
I even popped in last week. I haven't been in there for a while, and I popped in finally.
So a lot of times I do a stealth leave sometime after 11 because the conversation is going really well, and I don't want to announce that I'm leaving because then people go, "Oh, Tenkar's going to bed." I got it, man. I got it. Again, folks, thank you so much. Thank you to all the live stream viewers and listeners. As always, it's better cast because of the rest of you. So, thank you. All right. We're out of here.
Later.
Peace.